Israel may have employed Blue Sparrow air-launched missiles in early waves of Iran's strike campaign. Images and videos posted on social media following the joint United States-Israeli strikes on Iran on February 28, 2026 appear to show debris from Israeli Blue Sparrow series missile boosters in Iraq, as well as Israeli Air Force F-15 fighter jets taking off at night for strike missions. These elements suggest the possible use of air-launched ballistic missiles in the opening waves of the operation. However, Israeli authorities have so far not publicly detailed the weapons employed, and the identification of the missiles remains based on open-source analysis of debris and flight footage rather than on official confirmation. In the absence of formal confirmation from Israeli or U.S. authorities regarding the munitions used, the discussion centers on the documented characteristics of the Blue Sparrow system and its integration on F-15 aircraft, while treating current imagery as indicative but not conclusive evidence of operational use. According to multiple open-source intelligence accounts, photographs from Iraq and Syria taken after the February 28 strikes show rocket boosters that closely resemble those of the Israeli Blue Sparrow or related variants from the same air-launched ballistic missile family. In previous incidents in 2024 and 2025, similar booster sections were recovered in Iraqi territory after long-range strikes attributed to Israel against targets deep inside Iran, leading analysts to link them to Sparrow family weapons adapted for operational use. In the latest operation, social media posts and specialist observers again point to Blue Sparrow series boosters found in Iraq and to nighttime departures of Israeli F-15s believed to be heading toward Iranian airspace. None of this material has been independently verified by official investigative bodies, and there has been no public statement from the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, or the U.S. Department of Defense specifying which munitions were used. Any assessment that Blue Sparrow missiles were employed must therefore be treated as plausible, but not yet confirmed. Blue Sparrow is part of a family of air-launched ballistic target missiles developed by Rafael Advanced Defense Systems to simulate various classes of ballistic threats for Israel's Arrow missile defense program. The Sparrow series comprises Black, Blue, and Silver Sparrow, each intended to emulate different ranges and flight profiles associated with regional ballistic missiles. Open technical descriptions credit Blue Sparrow with a length of around 6.5 meters, a launch weight of roughly 1.9 tons, and a single-stage solid-fuel booster that propels a separable re-entry section along a ballistic trajectory. Guidance is based on an inertial navigation system augmented by satellite navigation, allowing the missile to follow programmed trajectories representative of operational threats. Within the wider family, Silver Sparrow is generally associated with the simulation of Shahab-3 class missiles and is often cited with a nominal range envelope in the 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers band, while Blue Sparrow itself is usually described as a medium-range system with a reach of about 2,000 kilometers depending on launch conditions. A defining feature of the Sparrow concept is its modular payload section. In its original role, this section carries inert or instrumented payloads used to test the performance of Arrow interceptors against representative ballistic targets. However, manufacturer documentation and subsequent technical analyses highlight that the same architecture can accommodate alternative payloads, including high-explosive fragmentation warheads, within the same external envelope. This modular approach has led many defense analysts to describe the Sparrow family as having a dual-use potential, primarily a target missile for testing purposes, but also technically adaptable into a long-range precision strike weapon if configured with an explosive warhead and appropriate fusing. On this basis, open-source assessments over the past several years have suggested that Sparrow-derived systems may have been employed operationally against high-value targets deep inside Iran, even though such use has never been officially acknowledged. Integration with frontline combat aircraft is central to the system. Publicly released imagery from past test campaigns shows Israeli Air Force F-15D and F-15C fighters carrying Blue Sparrow missiles on centerline stations, and official test announcements for Silver Sparrow explicitly mention F-15 platforms as launch aircraft. This confirms that the Sparrow family is designed to be carried and launched from Israeli F-15s, including upgraded F-15I strike variants, giving the Israeli Air Force an air-launched ballistic capability that can be employed from standoff distances well beyond the borders of potential adversaries. In doctrinal terms, such an air-launched ballistic missile enables deep strikes against defended strategic sites while allowing F-15 crews to release their weapons from airspace that is less exposed to long-range ground-based air defenses. The often-quoted range band of roughly 1,500 to 2,000 kilometers refers to the family envelope of Sparrow-type missiles, depending on variant and trajectory, and is consistent with missions that could be flown without requiring the launch aircraft to enter Iranian airspace. The reported discovery of Sparrow-like boosters in Iraq and the circulation of nighttime footage of Israeli F-15s taking off coincide with an ongoing large-scale U.S.-Israeli operation against Iranian targets. According to official briefings from Washington and Jerusalem, the strikes conducted on February 28, 2026 were aimed at degrading Iran's missile, drone, and nuclear-related capabilities and responding to previous attacks attributed to Iran or its regional partners. Iranian authorities, for their part, have condemned the operation as a violation of their sovereignty and have launched ballistic missiles against U.S. facilities and regional states in response. Airspace closures and restrictions over parts of Iran, Iraq, and Israel, as well as temporary suspensions of commercial flights by several international airlines, illustrate the broader regional impact of the confrontation. Within this context, the use of long-range standoff weapons, whether cruise missiles, air-launched ballistic systems, or other precision-guided munitions, is consistent with a strategy that seeks to strike critical infrastructure and military sites while reducing direct exposure of manned platforms to dense integrated air defenses. Open-source imagery allegedly showing rocket boosters in Iraqi and Syrian territory after the latest strikes has been interpreted by some analysts as evidence that Sparrow family missiles, possibly in an operational configuration, were employed by the Israeli Air Force. Similar debris was reported after earlier Israeli operations attributed to long-range attacks on Iranian targets, and in each case the external geometry appeared to match known blue or silver Sparrow components from test campaigns. At the same time, these identifications rely on photographs and videos posted on social media, often without verified provenance or chain of custody. In the absence of on-site forensic investigation reports or official confirmation from Israel or the United States, it remains more accurate to state that the debris is consistent with Sparrow series hardware rather than to claim definitive proof of Blue Sparrow combat use. Maintaining this distinction is particularly important given the high level of information warfare surrounding any confrontation between Israel, United States, and Iran. The current wave of social media images of alleged Blue Sparrow missile boosters found in Iraq and the footage of Israeli F-15 night sorties has directed renewed attention to Israel's air-launched ballistic capability at a moment of heightened regional tension. From reliable technical and official sources, it is established that the Blue and Silver Sparrow missiles were developed by Rafael as modular, air-launched ballistic target systems for the Aero Missile Defense Program, that they have been flight-tested from Israeli F-15 aircraft, and that their design allows for the integration of high-explosive warheads as well as inert payloads. In the context of ongoing U.S.-Israeli strikes against Iran, such systems would offer a plausible option for conducting long-range, high-speed precision attacks from standoff distances. However, until Israeli or U.S. authorities disclose detailed information on the munitions used in recent operations, references to Blue Sparrow participation in these strikes should be framed as assessments based on debris analysis and imagery, not as established fact. The priority is to distinguish clearly between confirmed capabilities and unverified battlefield reports in order to analyze the evolution of long-range strike warfare in the Middle East without amplifying misinformation.